Gmail and Yahoo just enforced new authentication requirements that are already killing deliverability for thousands of cold email senders. And that's just the beginning, and that's just what they're telling us. What I'm about to share could be the difference between landing in the inbox or having all of your domains blacklisted and everything stuck in spam. And I know all of this because in the last year alone, my company, AutoUp, has sent 35 million cold emails, and we run outbound for clients that are very high up. So I mapped out 7 critical shifts that are defining the future of cold email. And so I'll break down what these changes mean for your campaigns, and more importantly, what you need to do in 2026 to stay ahead. Starting with number 1. The technical setup will always and still make or break your cold email campaigns. I'm talking about your DNS records. It's boring, it's painful, it's definitely not fun, but your domains must authenticate. At the end of the day, if your DMARC, your DKIM records, your SPF records are not there, you're going to have issues. We see this every day. We have internal checks that do this, but more importantly, Instantly itself really shines here, because with Instantly, you can just push a button. It will go down through every one of your sending accounts, and it will tell you in real time if you have an issue. Now, this is an important check because you should never send a cold email campaign before you've done this, particularly in 2026. Number 2, if you do make it into the inbox, remember, your offer has to land. You have to have good demand for what you're selling. We had a client come to us a couple years ago. Killer offer, industry leaders, great social proof, all the stuff that we'd love to see. And they came to us, and it was funny, they weren't getting anything from cold outreach. They were sending 50,000 plus emails a month, and they got maybe 2 opportunities. And so why weren't they getting results? Well, the copy was way too long. It had bullet points, bolded words. It just looked and felt like a sales email. Prospects knew right away. I think they had deliverability issues too. And so we masked that. We made it look more personal, more organic, like a real human wrote to them. And we went from getting 2 opportunities a month to hundreds a month. And we've been running that clip with them for over 2 years now. Number 3, AI will continue to dominate. And so what I mean by that is I'm not quite talking about using ChatGPT to write your emails. I'm talking more about sentiment analysis, keywords, how the ESPs classify your emails. From that perspective, AI is going to be a gatekeeper and make it much more difficult to get in. And so trying to recognize certain patterns about conventions that you're writing, how you're framing your cold emails, are they just like everyone else? They look and feel like a sales emails? Are you using spam words? That's something AI is going to be very good at, and we're already seeing it. And so you think about cold emailers, and then what do they all do? Start at the top. Look at your subject lines. Subject line typically nowadays looks something like this. You got your first name variable, dash, a comma, and then a word or two. Quick question. That's the classic all-timer cold email subject line. I think at this point, everybody knows when that's coming, they see that in their inbox, they know it's a cold email. They know it's a pitch. And that's just the subject line. You go down from there into the body, and then people do the same stuff there too. Let's assume for a minute you're selling lead generation. Just about everybody writes the same stuff. You know, if I could guarantee you X leads over Y time frame, would that be interesting to you? Well, everyone does that. So should you? Or does it make sense to be a little different? And that leads me to number 4. The people who stay ahead will be those who can interrupt the patterns. We had a client a while back, but who asked me, who uses the first name in the subject line? Is it ever anyone I want to hear from? Is it anyone I know? No, they're always cold emails. So maybe don't do that. And it's the same with the body copy. Think about all the same CTAs that you see out there. You get Calendly links, you get an offer. Can I show you a Loom video? And right away, people know. Sales email, delete. And that does get back to AI though, because right now the market has been littered by GPT slop, and almost all of it's garbage, probably 99%. And so how about putting into play just a light parenthetical turn of phrase, something just literally within parentheses. If your offer, for example, is that you can send a bunch of cold emails, you could say something like, in parentheses, hey, we can send 100K a month for you, no sweat. Well, that looks, sounds, and feels like a human wrote it. It's not something AI would ever do. It's not this M- heavy sort of GPT output. Make it different, and you're going to stand out. Number 5, stay conservative. A lot of the experts in our space will tell you it's totally fine to send 30 cold emails a day per inbox. Sometimes you can do that. Most of the time though, when you're just starting out a new campaign, slow roll it. Don't go from 0 to 60. I think you keep the stuff really light. Send 1 to 2 emails a day per inbox, maybe 5. Keep it in the single digits. That's a decent rule of thumb. Your mileage may vary. It's obviously still going to have to depend on offer, but we never like to run into that and just start rushing and blast right away. So here's a great real life example. You look at a guy like my uncle, who's a longtime entrepreneur. He lives in Montana, and he's not a tech guy at all. He's got nearly 1,000 mini storage units, which is a great business. He rents his units to other businesses. And what does he do though? He actually fires off a few emails a day to the people who run those businesses, and he types like this on the keyboard. So do you think that he is sweating domain health or deliverability or landing in spam? No, he doesn't have a clue. But you know what? He's totally fine because he just doesn't send that many emails. So we send as little as 1 to 2, maybe up to 10 emails a day per inbox as we get going. Now, it does seem that would be much more expensive to do it that way, but I think it's actually cheaper because in the long run, rather than having to purchase new domains, swap them all out, rewarm them, wait 3 to 4 weeks, where you're down, you're getting nothing out. This way, you're always in the game. Number 6, your sending platform matters a ton. And this is where Instantly absolutely dominates. With Instantly, you can warm up unlimited inboxes. They've got the largest, best, most diverse warm-up pool on the planet, and they have the biggest engineering team and also the best engineering team. Their CTO and co-founder is from NVIDIA, which tells you all you need to know about the technical expertise and leadership of Instantly's team. And so as cold email continues to be evolving and so volatile, we see things change week over week and month over month. Being able to stay ahead of the curve and to ship new features, to tighten new features, to hedge quickly, it's paramount. Structurally, Instantly is certainly where we've always hung our hat. We have these important clients where it's their livelihood, it's ours, and nobody's ever compared to what Instantly's been able to deliver. The other thing is that Instantly came to market with something that's almost unfair. It's called Copilot. Think of it as an AI assistant. Even if you're new to cold email, even if you're a power sender, it can just shorten the timeline incredibly quickly. You can ask it questions within the app and say, why is this campaign not performing? In fact, I have a great example where this happened to us, where we used it. We had a client, they've raised $60 million, they have a fantastic product, a great offer, and we started out, it was gangbusters. And we did all the usual stuff. Our technical setup was on point. We had golden copy that we shipped. Everyone was very happy. And the results right out of the gate were huge. Out of every 25 leads, 1 was interested. We had a 90% positive reply rate. And we did this for a couple weeks. I even posted about it on LinkedIn. But within 2 weeks, everything was in spam, almost overnight. And I'd never seen anything like that before. It didn't make sense to me. So what did we do? We asked Copilot, what's the problem? And so we compared different kinds of infrastructure tagged within Instantly to see, well, what was the issue? And Copilot nailed it right away. They said that a certain kind of infrastructure was just not getting it done. It was just not delivering any replies. And another kind was getting all the replies. So we obviously made the switch to the other infrastructure provider and things got righted. But something that would have been very difficult to diagnose was assessed within seconds with Copilot. Number 7, I think going beyond just the inbox and thinking about on the channel, multi-channel follow-up will be significant. And so you think about cold email, it's no longer a silo. I think that a lot of the most effective outreach in 2026 is going to combine email and it's going to combine other channels like LinkedIn, for example. And so, why this matters is prospects are obviously very busy. Relying on just one channel will not always get it done. You can ping them once. They might even be interested. We've seen this so many times where you send them an email, they don't reply, but they actually like what you had to say. And then you give them a nudge in LinkedIn where they might be in that moment like, okay, let's hear more. And then they're actually appreciative of the fact that you reached out. They want to learn more because you do have a great offer. And so I think about Instantly and how it's very recently teamed up with 2 of the larger email automation tools. You can look at some of these use cases here. The first one is where if you do track open rates, let's say somebody opens your email, but they don't reply. Okay, fine. You can put them into a LinkedIn campaign and see what you can get. The other thing is, let's just say that their email bounced. You do have their LinkedIn profile and that's valid. And they're on LinkedIn. Why not send them a connection request? Why not send a message from there? There's different ways, different triggers and ways which you can integrate Instantly into these different platforms and touch them beyond just their inboxes. So I think that will be key too. That'll be incredibly important. The infrastructure arms race and owning your own sending. I think the idea is that as platforms get just more sophisticated, there's this line that's blurring between software and infrastructure, right? Serious senders, they're moving more towards control. They want everything housed in their own sending environment. They want that flexibility. And so if you look at what Instantly's API is capable of, the idea that we can just spin up domains and inboxes through automation and then push them to Instantly, get the warm-up sendings to be just right. That's so important because I think the other thing too is just the diversification of infrastructure as well. You don't want to rely on just Google or just Microsoft or Azure or whatever, because there is that week over week, month over month volatility. And so we've seen a lot of this too, where there is just volatility, even again, with respect to infrastructure and how well it lands in inboxes. And so if you're able to then spin up infrastructure through whatever automations in your backend, tie it in through Instantly's API with just a couple clicks, you can then have a more robust, more diverse sending arsenal at your behest. Rather than relying on just Google, on just Microsoft, on Azure, or whatever it might be, you have different things to play from and lean into, because some weeks Google's going to outperform Microsoft, or the inverse is true. And so having all that there is something that's going to be incredibly significant, and the ability to do it quickly and through automation. And infrastructure also means dedicated infrastructure too. And I mean that structurally within Instantly. Platforms like Instantly now offer features like server and IP dedication, rotating IPs. And so you are then on your own, which is where you want to be. Because you may look at the sender next to you, may not be doing what you yourself would be doing, but you get to stand and fight on your own. And I think that's something that if you're not leaning into or utilizing, I think it's going to be very difficult to send in 2026. If you're wondering how to actually do cold email properly in 2026, you want to click here. You'll actually get our full cold email marketing course. It's totally free. We're actually going to teach you everything that you need to know in order to grow your business with cold email. So we hope to see you guys over there.